rockabilly, I guess it was back then. But anyway, we took Kalijah and changed the words on it and changed it up a little bit. But anyway, that was the nucleus of the whole song. We wrote that song, Go, Go, Go. Kalijah was a wooden Indian. You can't be my loving baby. If you look at it real close, there are some similarities. Anyway, we wrote that song just fooling around, messing around. And then we left college after that freshman year, went back to Wink, and then we got the band back together again. And now Richard had left. He joined the Navy, hadn't he, James, by then?
Yeah, he joined. I think he quit college.
Yeah, he quit college. He didn't even finish the first year.
Yeah,
Went back, I think, joined the Navy. And so we got back, so there was the four of us, James, you, and Charlie, and me, and Roy. So we got the band back together again, and then...
Well, somewhere along the line, where I found out you guys had stayed together and were still playing, is one Friday night, me and some guys that I was going to school with, we were running around, we was going to go out for the evening, and we stopped by my friend's house, and they had a television set. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, it was about the first time I'd ever seen a television set. And you guys were playing. It was right after the 6 o'clock newscast.
Was that on KMID at night?
KMID.
Yeah.
And I saw, number one, I was enamored by this TV set. I'd never seen one. But then I got to looking at who was on there, and it was you guys playing. And I told everybody that I was there with, I said, hey, I know those guys. You know, I used to go to school with them. And they said, yeah. and what was really strange is that night, I had a little Ford, I think. A little 42 Ford. It had a 46 engine in it. A very cool car. And that night, something happened where the guys couldn't do what we had planned that evening. And I was just kind of cruising around, and I went to this drive-in out on Highway 80, which was the first drive-in coming in from KMID that you guys would run into coming back into town. Anyhow, I pulled up into there, and I saw this trailer, and you guys had the name on the trailer, and I thought, well, these are the guys who were playing. I wonder if they remember me. And I pulled up right beside them. I was going to pull in there and get a Coke. And I pulled in there, and that's when I ran into you guys, and we all got reacquainted. And you guys had just moved into a duplex
on Walnut Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
how do you remember that?
Lived up there.
I remember half of that duplex was clean. Don't you remember that, James? Yeah, me and James roomed together, and Roy and, who was it, James Blackburn had the other bedroom, and theirs was filthy, and mine and James was always clean.
Always clean.
But anyhow, you guys, I think Roy asked me to come by because you guys didn't have the TV show on Channel 7 in Odessa yet. You were doing the KMID show. Anyhow, I went by on Saturday afternoon, and that's when we got sitting around talking. And I think on about Tuesday, Roy I saw you guys in the afternoon. I just gotten off work or whatever I was doing, and I saw you guys there at the duplex. I went by. And Roy says, do you know how to play bass? Because at that point, I think Charles had dropped the bomb on you guys.
Well, Charles had already gone, because when we moved to the duplex in Odessa, we were going to go to college, so Charlie was no longer with us. We didn't have a bass player.
Oh, okay. Well, that afternoon, Roy says, can you play bass? And I said, well, I don't know. He said, well, let's go find out. So we went down to Armstrong Music, and we found a bass. They had a bass sitting up down there. And old Roy says, can you do this? And he got on the G string and the D string, and he says, and he pulled it, and then he bounced his hand twice on the strings, and then he pulled the D string. And then he pulled the G string and the D string, and he'd bounce his hand in between. And he said, can you do that? And I said, I just went boom, da-cha, boom, da-cha, boom. He said, yeah, you can play bass. So what I did is I did school for the better part of a week, trying to find a bass that I could get without a down payment because I didn't have any money. And on Friday afternoon, and see that this is, I'm interjecting this here because was the damnedest time of a turning point in my life. On Friday afternoon, I finally went down there, and there was that same bass sitting in Armstrong Music. And I had gotten a hold of Roy and told him that I didn't have a bass, but that they had one at Armstrong, and I didn't. They wouldn't let me have it without any money. You know.
I wonder why.
And anyhow, so we went down there, and Roy told him that Jack's playing. He's going to be playing bass with us, and that he can pay for he can make weekly payments on the bass, but we needed to take it because he needed to play with us. So at 5:30, we walked out of there with that bass.
Nothing down?
Nothing down.
How much was it, do you remember?
Oh, it was a biggie. It was about $300.
Oh, boy.
And I went to the duplex with you guys and practiced the songs we were going to be doing on KMID.
At night?
Mm-hmm. At 6:30, an hour from
So
now.
you faked that first program, huh, Jack?
Oh, no, the first dozen. Anyhow, we practiced the songs, and then we went from there to KMID and played, starting from 6:30 to 7, we played the TV show. Then we went to the County Auditorium on 8th and County Road and played a show, and Chuck Berry was the headliner, and nobody knew who in the hell he was.
I don't remember that.
And that was right in the middle of that song, one of the songs, I Got Lost, which I got lost in a lot of them, but this one just exasperated me. And I didn't know what else to do, so I started dancing until I could try to figure out what I was supposed to be playing, you know. And finally, Jamie started telling me, it's G, 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 to C. And when he told me, that's when I quit dancing and went back to the song, and I said, yeah, that sounds right. And, of course, the crowd went nuts. They thought all that stuff was planned, you know. And then we finished that show, and I can remember Chuck Berry, I can hear him playing in there, because while we were packing up, we had to play at the Archway. And we played, so the first night I was ever in the business, I had my instrument at 5:30 that afternoon, and we played a TV show and the equivalent of a concert type thing, because they had about 6 acts on that thing at the County Auditorium. And then we drove to Monaghan's and played the job there.
Huh.
And when we got through that night, I mean, I was...
Your fingers were sore, huh?
Oh, God, I had blisters you can't imagine.
Yeah, but to back up...
Had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, James, remember when we first... How did we first get on TV? Do you remember? I know it was in Saturday afternoon. There was kind of like a jamboree where they had a bunch of different bands. You know, country western bands.
And I could be wrong. Maybe this will ring a bell to you, but Pioneer Furniture Company had a contest. And they had a bunch of bands, you know, that come together and played. And they were going to pick a band out of that group that they were going to sponsor. And when we played on Channel 7 and Pioneer Furniture, well, I guess they sponsored us out at KMID, too.
We went with KOSA later.
Right.
On Saturday afternoon.
And I think it was a result of what we'd been doing on Friday nights at KMID, and that's when Pioneer Furniture bought the time for us to be on Channel 7 on Saturday afternoons.
So we were sponsored by Pioneer on both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or at $25 a week?
$25 a show per man.
Not per man, per band.
That's right.
$5 a piece.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Coffee and donuts.
Good grief.
But we looked at it as promoting our dances.
And it did.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, it did. Yeah, we got busy after that.
Yeah,
I do remember one night, though, we played on a night before a holiday at the Archway in Monaghan's, and I remember we were playing for the gate, and I remember we got 75 cents a piece and a pack of spearmint gum.
I don't remember that.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember the 75 cents a piece at a dance, yes, and that must have been it right there.
I think that was the one, and I thought I came out a little better than everybody else because I think I had the pack of gum.
Huh. I don't remember that. I must have shortchanged you guys.
I can't imagine you not remembering.